sorry, I pulled up the wrong thing. I don't have my agenda in front of me. There we go. So, the webinar information is on the agenda if you'd like to join us by Zoom. And I'm going to call this meeting to order. First item on our agenda, other than calling to order, is the warrant article for the May town meeting. We know that the water quality article has been reviewed and 100% sign on by the select board as well as the finance committee. But there's a few other water-related issues that we wanted to bring up and have a discussion if people want. And then my thought, if it's agreeable to everyone, is that we could vote to support that. And the information that we want to hand out about the water quality warrant, we would share that we're also supporting these other warrant articles so that everyone knows that it's not just, we've got to look at everything, not just simply the water quality sampling and analysis that we do. So the first one, by order of how they show up on the warrant, is sewer phase 4. And this is to continue the process to start the analysis, and Bob, keep me honest, on our wastewater management plan implementation and move on to phase 4. Welcome, Val. And it's appropriate borrow and/or transfer articles for $2,700,000. Any questions, any discussion about that?
So I have a question. Unfortunately, Tony just let me know a few minutes ago that he wasn't going to be able to be here today. So
I'm sorry, he's not coming?
No, not feeling well.
I'm sorry.
So my question was going to be to him, for the Finance Committee, there were 2 no's, 1 abstain, and I was just curious if we know what the reasons why 2 of the Finance Committee said no. Just curious. I'm not saying that it affects thinking on it, but it would be interesting to know why.
I don't know for sure. There was some discussion or mention that there was some, and I'm not sure if it was Finance Committee members that were leaning towards trying to delay the start of phase 4 planning, and it's really a critical part of the sewer because it extends pretty far it will be the biggest phase so far and extends down 28 into South
Ponds
Orleans.
and lakes.
Yeah.
So it's big,
Yeah,
but it's also critical for Pleasant Bay.
it's critical for the Pleasant Bay watershed permit and also for functioning of the wastewater treatment plant. As you expand the sewer system, it's more revenue too for the town. So to have that idle, it doesn't help the town in that respect. And then it is critical for Pleasant Bay watershed permit.
So the piece that's here, we won't know the challenges, the real challenges of going up and down 28, because my understanding is because of the geography or topography, whatever, the heights and
Yeah.
that there's a lot of questions about the pumping.
Rich, can you speak a little more loudly?
Yes, so, sorry about that. Yeah, so the point I was bringing up is that it's important to do this because we need to understand what it's going to take to get the job done there.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of good work to try and understand what the conditions are, but anyone who travels on Route 28 knows that the topography is relatively hilly up and down, and there are properties that may or may not be sewered, which actually are pretty far down the hill side there. And you have the Aries Pond area and so forth. And then you've got all the areas up eventually, I think think it's, that's not in 4, but it only goes down to past Crystal Lake and then a little further up there. I'm not sure if that includes Aries or not. Or,
I think it does. It's been a long time since I looked.
yeah,
at
I didn't
it.
bring the sheet with me. But anyway, if we don't do this now, we're not going to know. It'll delay us several more years, probably, because then we won't even have an idea of what the pumping regime is going to be like, particularly along 28. So that, my understanding is the 2.7 million is really the design phase, survey and design phase.
Right. And I think the concern is, as I understand it from listening to select board meetings, and reading social medias, it's fairly simply fiscal concerns, you know, what the impact's going to be, when it's going to hit in relationship to the fire station and all of that. But I think, and you know, from what I'm hearing, the argument is pretty strong to, let's keep this moving for this phase. After that, we can have deep conversations about timing and everything.
It seems to me that from this committee's mission, we should be supporting this. I mean, one question I have about discussing these other warrant articles, are we talking about it in terms of what we as individuals will vote at town meeting? Or are we thinking of offering a letter of support? Where are we going with this?
This is to, as we provide information about water quality, specifically Article 31, which is our water quality article. But thought process was that we would also include that we support
Or
these
other articles?
articles, which
Gotcha.
are water quality related, but not specifically driven by our committee.
Great. And I would invite the committee to also include in that possible consideration Article 29, which would protect land along Cedar Pond, which has been a topic of this committee's, it's protecting land abutting Cedar Pond.
Good point, good point.
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
Article 29 is to purchase land, it's actually to allow Orleans Conservation Trust, which in full disclosure I'm on the board of, it would allow the CPA funding to support the permanent protection of land on Locust Road that directly abuts Cedar Pond. So because of our interest in the water quality and the water quality problems in Cedar Pond, I would just invite the committee to add that to the list of possible
Support.
things to consider supporting.
And full disclosure, I'm on the board of the Orleans Conservation Trust. Those are you,
So am I, yeah.
so.
So according to this, is the sum of $175,000?
It will
What's that,
be, now is that part of the consent that will be lumped together?
Says Orleans Conservation Trust is purchasing the land at 32 Locust, as Mary mentioned, for the purpose of passive recreation and protecting land, freshwater shoreline, and wildlife habitat of Cedar Pond. OCT has secured a state grant for $260,000 and is collecting donations for $150,000 plus and seeks $175,000 from the town's Community Preservation Act Fund towards the purchase of 3.7 acres. OCT will own the 3.7 acres subject to a conservation restriction held by the Town Conservation Commission and/or Select Board. This article is funded from available Community Preservation Act funds and not require a bond or borrow. And the current Select Board was 4 yes, no, 0 no, 0 abstain, and the Finance Committee was 9 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Thanks, Rich.
It sounds like there's good support there for that also. I agree with that.
So I don't know whether we want to vote, I guess, why don't we vote for all of them together?
All right, I'll make a motion that we,
No, all of them together. So I'm saying
yeah, all of them
29.
together.
30, 25,
Yeah,
26.
I'm about to do that.
We haven't talked about the other ones yet.
Well, I'll make a motion and we can have discussion.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to make a motion that we support the sewer Phase 4, Article 25, Article 26, the water quality, Article 31, the mill pond, Article 32, and Article 29 that Mary talked about with regard to Cedar Pond and OCT.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
All right. Discussion?
Yeah, now we can have discussion.
I have I guess, a question. Is this committee, should we actually be part of any kind of discussion about buying land? I mean, how does that affect what our mission is as the Water Quality Committee? I mean, I'm in favor of it, but I'm not quite sure why it's a part of this, of our purview.
It's interesting because we set a precedent before with the property out off 28. It's escaping me now. What is the name of that?
22 Tonsit Road.
That one and the other one is further down on 28. It was it's right next to the watershed. I'm trying to remember the name.
Eli Rogers.
Thank you, Eli Rogers Road. So right or wrong, we've already done it before.
I think
So it's a
the
good
con-
question.
It is a good question. The concept is land protection protects the water quality of the groundwater because you're not
Developing.
developing, you're not putting impervious surface, it affects nearby water bodies, and it's,
So Carolyn sent around at some point the Marine and Freshwater Quality Committee charge. Number 6 says provide communications to the select board, town departments, and committees to advocate for clean waterways and resolve issues. And number 8 says coordinate with Pleasant Bay Alliance, nearby towns, and local environmental nonprofits. So I think it falls well within our purview to make comments on this.
Okay.
And I would argue it's not just, any piece of land that we're protecting. What we're specifically interested in are parcels of land that are somehow directly related to water quality. Like the property at Locust Road is at Cedar Pond.
Right,
The property at Eli Rogers was on the watershed.
right.
Property at Tonsit was on Town Cove. So that's where the direct connection with water quality brings it back to something that we can discuss.
Right,
And
okay.
So I think
look like you have another sentence coming.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, how do we know that it's not going to be developed? I mean, if the purpose of us being in favor of, I mean, like I said, I'm in favor of it anyway, and I don't want to waste our time. But if we're assuming that OCT is going to make this purchase and then not develop it, is that part of what OCT is stating?
Yeah, OCT's mission is to conserve land, and then the conservation restriction held by the town is like belt and cinders. A conservation restriction means you're restricting development. You lose.
Period, okay.
That's it.
Okay, well, because there is there's a road, right, that's been built to that lovely piece of property that's on Pleasant Bay. So there has, it's not necessarily untouched, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, some modest recreational amenities are allowed on conservation land, but you're not putting house lots up or,
Right. Okay.
Right.
So in the description of that purchase, I think there were statements regarding the cedar swamp there too, in terms of
The Atlantic
protecting
cedar
that.
swamp, yeah.
Right, so that coincides with the objectives of the current management plan we have in place. So it seems like it's supportive of, the current objectives of the management plan.
The only question I have about this is if we include this, can those of us that are on the OCT board vote in favor of the whole package? Or do we have to recuse ourselves and then you might not have a quorum?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of that.
Can those on the board vote in favor of this?
Well, we have to disclose.
Yeah.
And the other sentence I've heard other committee members say at other times is that I don't believe my board participation interferes with my ability to make a decision here.
Right.
So,
So you think it could, any,
I really, I'm sitting here pausing and thinking, it's like, no, I don't think that interferes with my
I
ability.
think a disclosure, if it's an appearance of a conflict, I think that
Yeah.
addresses.
How do you feel about that, Ed?
Well, recusing is a personal decision, so each one of us has to do it individually.
Right.
So I guess the question is, do we do the vote and then we find out who's recusing themselves?
You could ask, is anyone going to recuse themselves on this vote?
I think we should
I
take
am
the
not.
vote, and if people choose to recuse,
Yeah, they can do
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
and if it makes a difference on the vote, it makes a difference on the vote.
Okay.
But it's an individual decision that we all
Yeah.
should make, and I don't want to feel any pressure for anyone.
Right.
Okay. Ready to move on to the next article?
We got to vote.
Now we got to do the vote.
Yes.
We haven't discussed all the articles. You,
Oh, the article, not agenda article, the
article,
town
meeting
meeting
article.
article.
I'm thinking about Article 26, which talks about sewer Phase 3. And this is funding additional costs for Phase 3, lakes and ponds. So we're much further down the road on Phase 3, but go ahead and discuss it a little if you want.
Yeah, this was discussed at the last wastewater management advisory committee meeting, which was on, I think, the 9th of April. And my understanding is that this is somewhat of a contingent article, if needed. I think the bids are due in this week, maybe as early as the 28th. But it'll take some time to review and compile and compare the bids. So if the bids are consistent with the amount that was previously approved, $40,500,000 for Phase 3, then it'll be withdrawn.
That's helpful.
Any discussion on that one?
It's nice to see the Select Board and the Finance Committee are unanimous in supporting this. So I think it makes total sense for us to support it, too.
So Article 31, I don't think we need to discuss that any more. We've thoroughly discussed that several times over. And then the last one is the Mill Pond Article 32. And this is to see if the town will vote to transfer available funds in the sum of $45,000 or another sum for the purpose of funding an agriculture project in Mill Pond to improve water quality, including all expenses related.
Yeah, not too much to add to that. They haven't really finalized the report on the Mill Pond evaluation, but they're basing it largely on experience with Lonnie's Pond as far as making the estimate and a rough scope of what will be needed to proceed with that.
And as I understand it, the anticipation, if everything goes smoothly and the decision is to move forward with it, this would be implemented sometime in the spring, summer of 2027.
Yeah, there'll be investigation of the sediments and, further evaluation, permitting, and things like that.
Right. Okay. Ready for a vote? someone like to make a motion?
Already did, it's on the table.
It's been
So we
seconded.
just vote. I'm a little slow this morning.
right.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
That's fine.
All right. Why don't we do this as a roll call vote? Val?
Yes, Valerie May.
Yes, Mary Griffin.
Yes, Carol Etzold.
Carolyn Audie, yes.
Rich Levy, yes.
Ed Hafner, yes.
Bob Mullen, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. And thanks for the conversation. Next on our agenda is to talk about the materials for the handout at town meeting. And you've got some materials. And this is what I sent out. So it was in our package, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I made any other changes. So obviously, if we were to, right now, this does not, so we agreed to go ahead and put together a one-page back and front side supporting our water quality initiative, Article 31. And so this is really derived from our discussions and from information that's been developed along with George to really bulletize the pros and what we've discussed and what we've agreed upon as the
Oh,
advantages.
just to be clear, George Meservy, the town planner,
Right, thank you.
our town liaison.
Yep. And so it goes all the way through item 6, and George has seen this already. And at the end, I just added the current votes that we had for this committee and also for the select board, as well as the finance committee, as in the approved town warrant. So what isn't in here yet, again, this is the content part, is we had originally said we would have 2 pictures to kind of pull people more in, a small picture of Cedar and a small picture of Baker. We may or may not want to do that. Tried to keep it at a very large font, and looks like we would have room at the bottom for the statement with respect to the other articles. Also, if this is the kind of document you want, or if you want something different, then you can develop it. We've got a little time, thank goodness, so that's the good news.
I like it, it's fine, but I would like the last item where you point out the votes that we took to be put up like closer to the front, because it's kind of burying the lead.
Okay.
That's an idea.
I would suggest
Yes.
eliminating more unnecessary words like ands and thus. Keep it bullet points, not complete sentences. Because nobody's going to come in with this and all their other handouts. And very few, not nobody, but I would think that less than 50% of the people are going to come in, sit down in their chairs, and read this whole thing word for word. They're not going to get it. It's got to, I would say, make it 50% this many words. And bigger fonts.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Bullet points are about the best you can get. And get it all on one page, no turning over.
Okay.
I just have it one page.
If we reduce it that much, we'd have, room for the pictures, I guess.
Yeah, on the back, you could
Yep.
put nice pictures.
Actually, put the pictures on the front, because that's why people will pick it up and start to read it.
Yeah, could be one on the front. one-
Yeah, so the objective was to have Cedar on the front and Baker on the back,
Yeah.
with the pictures to go
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, if I look at this, I'd be interested to see from the two, you guys, both Carol and Ed, send me your abbreviated version.
This is what happens when you make criticisms.
Well, no, that's good. I do think whatever it is, it still has to get the point we're trying to make across. So, I mean, water quality continues to improve at Cedar Pond.
I think that's a key point.
Is that the key point? Is there any other reason, would anyone else get up and start to make comments? I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
and
we
some-
can, maybe we can make the
I
comment.
was gonna say, I am planning as necessary, you know, you gotta read the room. But I am planning to be prepared to stand up and if someone starts to get into the details about any piece of this, then I can speak to, you know, the research that's been done, the analysis that's been done, the recommendations that's been provided to us. So that, you know, I can give that information should that be a necessary.
Yeah.
Frankly, I would say if the comments get lengthy by other people, plan ahead and stand up early and get on the line
Yeah.
so that somebody doesn't say, let's call the vote.
Yeah, control the mic, yep.
Yes,
So,
good advice.
and then if, by the time you get there, you don't need to say anything, just
Go away.
ditch the line.
And the gist of this $30,000 funding for Cedar Pond is really to do the analysis to figure out what to do with the contaminated deeper sediments. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Right, if we want to get out of our current state, which is the analysis that's being done monthly from March to September, October, I don't know exactly when they end, I know they start in March. And if we want to get out of that cycle of just going and testing,
Right.
then we have to move into the next step, which is
What do we do?
what do we do? And so we've got to get the sediment analysis at a relatively modest price tag to help give us, and as part of that analysis, they're going to give us recommendations on next steps. And so that will be something we can bring back and have a thorough discussion about, and, you know, see what our thoughts are and recommendations. I know, and I'll put it right out there in black and white. Will dredging be one of those? And that's something that's come up as a concern. And I'd be shocked if dredging wasn't one of the options. But we've had a conversation about dredging, and the price tag is something that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
And so, based on our previous conversations, not on the new analysis that we'll be receiving, you know, I think there's some pretty serious question marks about whether that's something we would recommend to the select board.
And I think this is really important to be ready to talk about at town meeting, because what I remember from a select board meeting maybe a couple of months ago, is comments being made at, well, what we're doing is making progress, so why do we need to do more? And we need to explain that very quickly before that takes root, given other expenses for the town.
Right, and we do think that, and keep me honest from a science perspective, we do think that, you know, the improvements, the depth of improvements is dwindling a little bit, you know, you only get to a certain point. So if it's dwindling, and we'll talk about the report from Cedar Pond. And so this is the perfect time to say, hey, what do we do now? And so we know that in order to be able to answer that question, what do we do now, we need to do this analysis.
And I think we should keep in mind that, you know, I don't know this, but there may be DEP or Energy and Environmental Affairs type funding to help with some of the options that are presented. So, you know, but you can't really seek funding unless you know what the project is.
Very good point.
Yeah, number 7 on our charge, committee charge, is alerting the town to outside funding opportunities. So we're supposed to be looking at that.
Right.
Okay, if anyone else has any other edits, if you see something's missing, it should be there, anything like some of the comments have been said, just put those and try to use track changes if you can. It makes it easier. I think it's pretty, I could just go through it pretty quickly, but I appreciate your feedback. And then timing, I'm not sure what we want to do. Like 2 weeks from now, have the draft ready to people to look at one more time. 'Cause we'll be the end of the month right now, so we want to make sure we have time to print these.
So, yeah, let's see if everyone can get their thoughts to Rich by the end of this week. And then that gives Rich some time to pull it together and bring it around for everyone to look at before we have anything that we send out.
Do you have photos you want to use, Rich?
Have what?
Do you have photos that you
I'm
want
gonna,
to use?
I'll go through OPC or some of the
Okay.
other photographs and something.
There may be some pictures.
Call on the
Oh.
photo expert here, the best.
So we'll send you around we may need a new one on Cedar, so
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, I probably,
I'll show you a good spot for pictures, so,
Oh, okay.
because I've gone down and looked at it recently because I hadn't done that, so.
Yeah. The other end of Cedar, when I'm biking, I go on the other end of Cedar, where, opposed to where they test.
Well, there's Locust Road,
Yeah, that's where they test down
that's
there.
where they,
But if you go biking on the bike trail and you can make a left and you can get to the other end of Cedar and you get nice views of flowers in the front there.
there we go.
all right, good.
So just,
The osprey nest.
Right.
Yes, show the
Where
osprey,
the
that's
cormorants
wonderful.
used to be.
Okay, thank you.
for clarification, or
Yes.
maybe to simplify things, should we wait, the rest of the committee members wait for Carol and Ed's abbreviated version, just so we don't start flooding Rich with comments and edits?
You want to be on our
Question.
committee too? We got another one, Carol.
No, I'm interested in seeing what you come up with.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We'll come up with something and send it around.
Yeah, and then, because that'll just,
then
I
you
think,
can
streamline, yeah,
comment
that'll
on that.
streamline the
Okay.
process.
Good suggestion.
All right. Ready to move on? Okay. And the next one is Cedar Pond, the report that came in from SMAST. I sent it around, so everyone should have it, and they can, it's longer, but it's written differently than in years past, which is interesting. So I do hope that people take a look at it. What I'd like to suggest is that we make a request through George Meservey to bring Ed Eichner, the principal
PMDL.
scientist who presented this report, and ask him to come in so that we can have a thorough discussion. There are scientific things that he brings up, and I'd like to have his expertise here so that we can ask questions.
I think that's a great idea.
So just a reminder, we already, I don't know if we took a vote before, but we already said that we wanted to do that. So I don't know if we probably won't need a vote.
A vote to bring him in?
Yeah, I think you just have to do it.
I think it's the chair's prerogative to do that.
So,
You don't need a vote.
if you'd like to do a vote, I'd love to have the vote.
Oh. Up to you.
Oh, I'm happy the way things are, so she's gonna do
I'm
it.
fine without a vote myself.
Why do we need one?
Anyone else?
I didn't think we did, but.
No, that's not, wasn't my point.
If you're good with my
Yep.
authority, then I will make that request. And we'll see what time, when we can get him scheduled to come in and speak with us.
It's
Thank you.
nice to see in the executive summary, again, the lead was buried, but he says at the end, overall, 2025 reading showed another year of additional incremental progress. And he does mention there's vandalism that happened with the board this year that really kind of messed up the management.
Explained a lot.
Even despite that, there was some improvements. So I think that bodes well, and, we should keep,
And I'd like to know, and maybe we can just get George to get that information, you know, as described in the report, the vandalism was a couple of years ago, and we think we've made some changes to protect that, but, you know, hey, do we know whether there was any this winter, or is
Right,
it,
yeah.
so, yeah, all good.
Okay, so one other point, going back to November, our November meeting, so what we agreed to do at that point was, as soon as the report was completed, then we'd hold another committee meeting where the public could comment, all of which would be followed by a committee recommendation. So we said we'd have the SMAS come in with us and hold a meeting so we could answer questions. If you remember, there may be a number of people interested in coming in and presenting data or other
Yeah.
things, which we encouraged at that point. So the logical step would be go with your recommendation and then assume that we would schedule another meeting where the public would be involved, unless you all wanted to have one meeting and then try and have the public invited to comment too, because I think that will get,
These are public meetings. Anyone can come, but let's see how that meeting goes and what we get as a result of that. But yes, we want to make sure that we are, you know, presenting all information that's available.
I'm not sure, I may be agreeing with what you're saying, but I'm not quite clear. I think it's helpful, because we know that there are some neighbors that have questions about the management approach that is
Right.
being taken on Cedar Pond. I think it's helpful if they can interact directly with Ed Eichner and hear from a scientific expert. So
that
I-
wasn't the purpose of.
I would encourage us to really get the word out so that it's not just us, but, you know, as fellow citizens sort of relaying the information, but they can hear it directly from the scientific experts that are doing the studies.
Yeah, so I don't think that the recommendation was to not have Ed present at the second meeting.
Right.
It was to make sure we had enough time. If we want to schedule a meeting, just from past experience, this could take the entire time of our slot
Right.
if we do it in a regular session. Because I think there's likely to be some additional comments, and we want to get additional
Right.
comments.
Right.
Then can we then not have Ed here for our regularly scheduled meeting, but have him scheduled for the public meeting and essentially, in other words, I don't think we need to ask him to come twice or have two meetings largely devoted to Cedar Pond, one for us and one with everybody else. Why can't we just have our meeting, take care of everything else, and then have a meeting on Cedar Pond that's a public
good
meeting?
recommendation, and remember, this is just talking about 2025. This will not be the results of the study that hopefully will pass as part of the
Yeah,
warrant article, so,
yeah.
yeah.
So I guess I don't agree with that approach, because I think we need to have Ed here to answer questions for us. I don't think we're going to come up with much more. Go ahead, Mary.
What if we had Ed join us just for, you know, maybe 10 minutes on Zoom
Yeah.
to kind of minimize cost, travel time, and then have him come in person for the in-person meeting, which I think is honestly more important for his.
I
Yeah, I agree.
That-
Yeah,
Seems
I
like
would
a
agree
might
with
be-
that.
So the protocol on this is you schedule a public hearing. That's where the public can interact and speak throughout the entire session, asking questions and whatever. That has to be advertised, put in the paper, make sure that it's done according to a certain procedure. You have that first. Then after he's done, this board takes the information we got and we consider it at our next meeting, say. And at that time, we can do the Zoom if you want to have more questions to ask Ed. But that's when we deliberate and make any decisions we want to. But we don't make any decision at the public hearing. That's just a hearing.
No, that's a different.
Different thing.
So I like that approach, because then it gives us a chance to come back and reflect upon everything.
That's the point, yeah.
Okay, so now we have a new.
So where are we?
So I think where we are is, I think there's some feeling that we should have Ed there no matter for this meeting, but this first meeting would be what I was trying to call a public meeting, meaning an open.
It's a hearing.
Yeah.
Hearing is
Where
the
people
word
can
you
come
use
in
for
and
it.
they have the opportunity to present their own information, their positions, their data. So in a certain sense, it's an awareness creating meeting for Ed also, but Ed would be there. And I think it's important in that meeting to have Ed present here.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, he would have to, he
Rather
would
than
have
on
to be here,
Zoom.
yes.
But,
But then the 10-minute,
I mean, unless he's sick, then he could do so.
then he could answer at a later time on Zoom
right,
Any
the more
follow-ups?
technical questions that
We have.
Right.
we need to have.
Mary's point, that, I mean, it kind of takes care of both aspects of it, but I do think there should be a formal presentation.
yes, by Ed.
Yeah.
And for the public meeting, I would have Ed give an overview of the recent data and their findings, and then open it up to the public to comment, ask questions. Because that way, it just helps everybody start from the same, a little bit of the same information base of where we are.
And I also don't think it should be our standard meeting. I don't think, because it's going to take a while.
Yeah, so you do the public hearing, it's a little bit of an expense to the town to schedule it and everything. You do it if you feel that the public is really interested in what you're doing. If you feel there's no particular interest, or it's obvious there's no interest, then you don't do public hearings. But our meetings, as someone said, are public. So you have to distinguish between the hearing and meeting.
So we'll do one hearing.
The hearing and then a meeting,
One of our
regular meeting.
usual meetings with Ed in attendance on Zoom.
Yeah, that's how I kind of see it.
So, and, as per our usual, George Meservey, our town liaison, is not here today, so I'll go speak with him and bring back to everyone if he has any separate, thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, I think George will have good thoughts on how to structure this. He always does.
And George will connect with him as
I
well.
think he's going to be supportive, I'm sure, because this is what we kind of came up with him present the last time.
I would expect so.
How do we reach out to the people that we know are going to be interested in this, the people that live in the area? Do they have a Friends of group, or?
We can, first of all, the public will publicize it.
Right.
And second of all, we know who live around the area. That's public information that we can get from the town, and we can do some reach out from that perspective.
Do they have a Friends of group? Like Crystal Lake does?
No idea.
I don't know either.
I think that would be a question for George, yeah.
Okay.
If there is, no one has spoken up that we know of. Otherwise, we know of the group. But
Not necessarily, but perhaps.
you'd think somewhere somebody it would have bubbled up to our ears.
Well, we know there's a couple of neighbors I think they're butters or neighbors of Cedar
Yeah.
Pond that come to discuss it when it's been on our agenda in the past, so, we could, I don't know. There should be I wonder if the town has a way, from the assessor's data, do they have contact information to contact people that live around Cedar Pond?
There is a Rock Harbor group that's mentioned in the report. I think that's a group that we should make sure that we reach out to and let them know.
Makes sense.
All right. Any more discussion on Cedar Pond? We'll see what we can find out and get something scheduled. Obviously, this is going to be after, most likely will take place in June if we can get Ed Eichner in sooner rather than later. So, all right. Moving on. Rich, Herring Run.
Okay, so just a quick preface. So the water situation in Pilgrim Lake at the beginning, when we started counting in the beginning of April, and actually even before that, looking at whether we're going to put the video system in or not, was comparable to 2024. So that was actually good news versus 2025. So from what I can tell, the control of the water, we've had water in the run. Of course, we're not into May yet, and so there has been access for the herring, if they needed access, to come up into the herring run. The water temperatures are running cold. The temperature yesterday reached a peak of about 13 degrees centigrade. And I think that's
And it
in,
was 10 on
in the.
Saturday when
yeah,
I,
it runs around 9 to 10 beginning in the morning.
12 on Friday,
Thought I
It
had
was up to
8.
13.
Maybe not.
It's still cool,
yeah.
comparatively speaking. We've had, a number of high tides come and go during the period of time. The herring counts are very low, extremely low, actually.
like, 0.
Single numbers. No, there was
I
a
haven't
few.
seen one yet.
few,
I'm
but
curious,
you're right.
Rich, because I haven't seen any. How many are there? Do we know?
I'd have to go back and look at all the data, but it's, I think it's probably less than 50 or maybe less than 25 would be a
Well,
better estimate.
a friend who's a herring counter, new this year, spoke up to me and said that she hadn't counted any, but she'd seen them up.
Correct.
Like where they like to hold
Hang out.
before they go into.
I've seen a lot of eel.
That was
So, yeah, I'll talk about that. So, to those 2 points, in the first, we started sampling, I believe, April 4th. And in that period of time, up at the top of the run, I personally, and I made an effort to do a semi-scientific count. One day I counted around 31 eels and, herring there, and I counted about 50 on one day. And we know from some of the other observers that the other 3 or so days in that week, there were more herring up there, but people were not seeing them downstream. I have seen myself one downstream, and that's it. And there's really only a few more that have been counted other than that.
And what,
In one case, 7 went up and 7 went down. How's that?
what,
We don't know if they went back again, but
what
Yeah.
conclusion, if any, are we drawing from that? Is it difficulties with the state of the run, or is
no,
it-
I think I think that water hasn't been an issue, that Nate Sears and this group have been managing that effectively. I spoke to Brett Johnson, who's living in the house, Scott Johnson's house there, and he actually said that he hasn't seen that many either. So it looks similar to more similar to last year. I think we have some confidence. Last year we had 3 phases, or a very early or a much earlier one, and 2 others, but they were all really low. I think it was 116 total in the observations, but we knew there were some up at the top.
Does anybody have any sense of how long the fish stay in that upper pool before they make the final leap?
It's hours for sure. I mean, I don't know how. I mean,
In other
we've
words,
seen
how
them.
long have
We've
those-
seen the same. You can go back later in the day, and the numbers are similar up at the pool.
So a
They're
long
not all-
time.
So I think that we don't know what the original number was in the middle of the night that went in. There's always a few at a time going in. I'm sure you could try to come up with a calculation, but, so we don't know from that information, we don't know what the total really number was. Was it 100? Was it 1,000? We don't know.
Right.
So I think we can estimate that it was, probably 100 or in the hundreds at the most that came in a single night. And we don't know what would have come. And the dilemma is the counts that we have, as always, they reflect the daylight periods. They don't reflect the evening. And since we don't have the counts from any kind of a photometric method, we're not going to, be adding those numbers that were up there. But in fact, as far as I know, that the numbers that we see every year, I don't know if the entire video from 2 years ago or even 3 years ago was ever really looked at. So it's really what we have. As far as the eels go, there were eels yesterday. I counted one myself, but there were definitely in the 40s, in some cases 50s, and on several days, we had a couple in the hundreds.
The week,
There.
the week before, I counted over 80, and there were other people who had counted some up to 100.
Right.
This week, it's down a little bit in the 50, 60.
Yeah, it's lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, one day there were almost none. So I think people need to just be cognizant of what they look like and that they're there. We do have new counters who may not have seen them. And you do have to pay attention because they can come through at the last minute. You'll notice that,
And I think they come in clumps. That's my observation this year.
interesting. So other than that, they're up there. Oh, and Nate Sears and his crew are doing the counts up at the top of the run for the Eels. So that data will be generated separately, where in the past, Judy Scanlon and her significant other were up there doing those counts, but they've taken that over. So we'll have that data on the Eels from the upstream.
Am I correct in what I'm hearing, that one of the theories this year for right now is the cold? We're having a pretty cold month,
Yeah.
and we need for that to turn around.
I think there's we don't know what the major dynamic is, though, for the decreased
we don't.
numbers. I mean,
We're
was it
speculating.
the fact for the past 2 years has been low flow and there's not enough to attract them in, or is it just there aren't as many herring to begin with? And some of the data, speaks to other possible causes, so. But I haven't seen any good theories coming from APCC who are collecting all the data yet. But the numbers have dropped off dramatically this past 2 weeks, so we'll see. But we know, again, sometimes it's biphasic and sometimes it's triphasic, so we'll see what we get. I think it's looking a lot like last year at this point, unfortunately. Other than that, I'm trying to think, there's quite a bit of debris in the run. And so we're kind of going to have to watch that. I know this year Nate did some initial clearing up at the top. I'm not sure how much clearing was done down below. I know that Brett said he had done a little bit of clearing on the side, but now people are reticent to do that since the eels are in the run, and you really need to just pull it up slightly up onto the hill there. But I've been reluctant to really do anything. But I think if it continues to be the way it is, we may have to see if Nate is in agreement to do a quick clean, particularly in the area past the bridge, because we know what happens there.
Limited, yeah.
Were you the person who got the triple counter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
That is so much easier than trying to keep one species by tallies and the other one.
Don't you think?
Which one should I put on the counter? The one that there's a lot, or the one? It's so much more efficient, even though with a slow run, we don't necessarily need it. But it could be.
Good. At least everyone figured out what EU means, eels up and
Oh,
eels down. And Mary? Yes.
Just a quick question. When you say there's debris at the top of the run, is that
Near the bridge
the
in
bridge.
particular,
is
yes.
that natural debris,
Yeah.
leaves and, okay.
So it's leaves.
Yeah. And then my other question is, does the herring count last as long as we're seeing herring, or does it have a hard stop date?
Okay, so I believe APCC is the 15th of June, but we stop at the end of May. And that, from what I understand, because I've been pulling together as much historical information, that's because at the end of May, we really weren't seeing anything anymore.
Right.
I think we'll have to play it by ear and talk to Judy and see what the numbers look like. If we are seeing not eels, but if we're seeing the herring coming in toward the end or going out at the end of May, and then in
You should
theory, we
keep
could
going.
continue that if the volunteers were willing to do that.
Yeah, the reason I was asking that question was if the colder temperatures we've had in this spring
Yes.
have delayed the herring passing, then we might, if volunteers are willing,
Yes.
extend it a bit later.
Yeah, so it's already definitely crossed my mind. So you're right on target there. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Yeah, we'll see. We just never know what's going through at night, and I think we're gonna have to start looking more seriously at, a different type of video counting. Again, this is all confounded by the fact that we haven't, because of the, I guess, Meeting House Pond is at phase 2, right? Meeting House Pond, phase 2, and the work along Herringbrook Way has pushed the Herring Run rehab back in time. And so a lot of the upgrades that we would have made probably would have happened now, or be happening not now, right now, but at least in 2024, maybe even 2025, or maybe even this year, had we had that,
It's actually phase 3.
phase 3 thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, if we had that and we were moving ahead, and once that road gets brought up and the culverts change, then that rest of the steps will start taking place.
Do our
That from Nate,
sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Were you done? Do our numbers differ significantly from Harwich's?
From what?
From the numbers at Harwich's run?
Oh, I'd have to go back and look at, you can check that out on the APC website. And, type in APCC and Herring Run, it'll bring you to the data page. And so if the runs have reported, which we do not, but if the runs have reported, that data will be there.
You
Yeah, so
know why
offhand,
I'm
I've heard both sides.
Right, I'm just curious.
Yeah. I've
'Cause
heard
it seems like
A versus.
we'd be talking about the same critters and more or less the same body of water, but,
Well, except you've got the Bayside, which
Right,
go through the
right.
channel there.
The Bay numbers last year were higher,
Yeah.
and what, the talk that I hear now in the paper is Bayside as well, so it's kind of interesting. Anyway, anything else on the herring count?
And we've
Ed?
got, yeah, anyway, we've got new counters coming in. I have to replace a couple more people this week, so I appreciate anyone who sent me names, and I have to get in contact with them. So it's been an interesting year on that. Managing volunteer side, for sure, has been a challenge.
All right, cyanobacteria. Ed?
Okay, so we're starting up, as you know, in May for cyanobacteria counting at the Orleans Pond Coalition, who are organizing it. I'm on that, and I'm the one organizing it, along with Jamie DeMoss, some of you know. So it starts on May 27th. Wednesday is the day that we're starting up. But we're having a training and a session on May 6th at 10 a.m. at Pilgrim Lake. And anyone who's on a team hopefully can attend, but if you know people who are thinking about maybe volunteering to do it, they can attend and just see what it's all about, and then they can put their name in if they would like to at some point. At that time, hopefully, I'll have cleaned up all the kits and have them ready to distribute to the team leaders at that point. If a team is not there at the time, then we'll make some arrangement to get it to them before May 27th, when the testing actually starts. Let's see. What else did I want to say?
How often do you test?
Okay, it's bi-weekly, every 2 weeks we go. If there seems to be a problem or issues, then we'll test weekly to follow up. It takes 2 tests of no problems before, if a lake gets an advisory and there's postings, no swimming or whatever, it takes 2 subsequent weeks of testing and to be cleared for removing the advisory. So that's why we do it weekly if there's such an occurrence at the time. I'll send an email to remind everyone who's part of that, part of the program, so that you'll hear from me again. And I think that's really all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's fun. We get up early in the morning, and so you greet
Wednesday morning.
you greet the morning, and it's good to get you going, and you're out there in nature. It's kind of like the herring counting. Part of the fun is just being out there, being present in nature, and appreciating the beauty that we all have in living in Orleans. And so it's a great time.
All right. Last month's meeting minutes.
I received, it was just a typo that was cited by both Carol and Carol under item 9 that I've corrected. And those are the only edits, comments that I received.
I motion we approve the minutes as amended with those 2 edits.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It was just one edit, just to
Great
be
job.
clear,
Oh, okay, 1.
the Carolyn misspelling.
Excellent. Thanks. What a great job.
I'm a little picky about that.
It's kind of hard to find, but.
So next item is the wastewater management advisory committee. Bob, what do you got for us?
There have been, I think, 3 meetings since our last meeting. I think it was March 26th, April 9th, and last Thursday, which was, I think, the 13th. One of the topics that was covered in a couple of those meetings is the drought and the notification that's been posted on the town website regarding water restrictions starting on May 1st and extending through December 31st. I can distribute this, or, I'm pretty sure it's on the town website. And one thing to note in particular is that it also restricts use of water from private wells. So that, all the restrictions apply.
Can you explain that a little bit? Private wells versus why the restrictions? I've seen some people complain that if it's a private well, they can do what they want.
Yeah, and that's, I guess the misconception is in hydrogeology and how groundwater flows, and that we all, the public and private wells, rely on the same aquifer. So there's no
Right.
preferential flow to private wells. There's, overuse of private wells affects the aquifer. And the aquifer, I believe, from the work that I did in groundwater contamination, the groundwater is regulated by the state. So if you withdraw it or impact it in other ways, contaminate it, you are subject to the rules of the state, and the state can, through the town, or the town through the state can restrict its use. It's, to the benefit of the community, or protection of the aquifer.
Yeah, so I think the issue that I read about was private well owners were encouraged to dig their wells to water their gardens and whatever, so that they don't drain on the town-treated water from the treatments. And now they're being asked to restrict, and so they feel like they got snookered somehow into spending money on making a well, and now they can't use the water. So that's I think, the cause of disagreements. But your explanation sounds correct, that it's all the same water, basically, and if there's a problem, everyone has to pitch in to help out, so.
I guess it comes down to the with the town, and the expense of the town supplying potable water, meaning drinking water.
Right.
And the drinking water is for drinking primarily, and obviously bathing and other purposes like that, but not necessarily, taking care of gardens or lawns and things of that nature. So I'm not sure if that helps in the explanation, but, I can see where people are questioning that now.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, when they go to the expense of installing a well, they might receive some misinformation during its installation. And, kind of rely on that versus what the regulatory aspects of it are.
Anything else?
We've kind of covered it. Phase 2, I believe the letters to requiring connection should have gone out. I think they were due to go out at.
Letters have arrived.
Okay, I think they were due to go out at least by the 31st of March. And I think we've covered everything else in the discussion. Phase 3 will be, is out to bid. That bid will be received. Phase 4 hopefully will be meeting the approval of town meeting. There's been some interesting evaluation of nitrogen removal now that we have an updated water use database and on the, using updated newer meters and data from the wastewater treatment plant. So there's been an interesting evaluation of that and showing a effective removal to meet the TMDL for Pleasant Bay. So I think that pretty much covers what we've been dealing with the past few meetings, as well as preparing for town meeting.
This is a comment only, but I think that the billboards that were put up last summer, which were much more effective than anything else that has been done about letting people know about those restrictions.
Yeah, that was.
And I'm wondering, is that committee or is somebody going to be, should it be us pushing that?
Board of Water and Sewer.
Yeah, I think the Board of Water and Sewer would, but I'm not sure anyone
I
has
know
been, any
Herman
committee has been
Michael
directed to do
did it
that.
last year, but it was certainly the most effective thing I think that was done.
Where was that?
They were around town.
They were all,
Electronic.
There were several places, yeah.
At the
Last
Rotary.
year, the committee asked, I volunteered to contact Sue Brown and asked that they put signs up, because we hadn't seen them, and they did have some. There were some at the dump and the police station. I think having some on Main Street would have, that would have been a good
Well,
place.
that's, I mean, I think he,
And, I mean, they
Right.
later had some, they added
that
some.
was him.
Yeah,
Yeah, from that, the discussion we had here,
yeah.
yeah.
So hopefully they will do that again. I don't know if we need to urge them to do it or whether they'll just do it.
I think an urge would be a good idea.
So the police station is up. I've seen that sign, because I drive by it every day. And I am confident, but, Bob, if you can make a comment to your next meeting. But, we're starting out worse this year. So, and we're, there's the materials that they're handing out. My expectation is that we can see these public signs, but if we don't, then we need to continue to speak up and make sure that we're taking all efforts to make sure the public is aware that this is very serious, and we need to pay attention to it, and we need to all pitch in as best we can, and protect our water, our aquifer.
Noted.
Thank you.
It's important.
All right. Next is we're continuing our efforts to educate the community. We've got our next opportunity at Celebrate Our Waters.
How about the farmer's market? Did we decide to skip that this year?
Yeah, I'll just give you an update, and then we can talk about that. That'd be great.
Great.
There's the main activity on June 20th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Depot Square, across from Hot Chocolate Sparrow, is a fun tent. It's different, going to be different than it was last year. And the idea is to talk about, I should say the theme is protecting the creatures who live in and rely on our waters. So in terms of the invitations going out, any of the groups that are participating are supposed to focus on that theme. And right now, the participants include, Bob, I can get you a copy of this if you want it, so that won't be a problem. You don't have to go through all the notes. But Mass Audubon, the IFAW Dolphin Rescue, Center for Coastal Studies, New England Coastal Wildlife Alliance, the Friends of Pleasant Bay, Stellawagon Bank National Marine Sanctuary, Manomet Conservation Sciences, our committee, the Orleans Shellfish and Waterways Committee, the Orleans Conservation Trust, and also the Pond Coalition. And the Pond Coalition is going to be doing some art activities. And so I already made requests. There were requests that came out for information related to the committee. I basically submitted similar information to what we did last year, and I also requested electricity. So electricity is to do the herring piece with at least one or two devices. What we said we would do prior to this is we would try to have our committee booth over at the farmer's market and do the water sampling there, the equipment, et cetera, and have our two posters. I think we'll go over there rather than the fun tent. And then, so we'll need to have people on both those booths for that June 20th. I don't know if 10 and, I'm not sure if the 10 a.m., I'm assuming it's the same time as the farmer's market, the 10 a.m.
More likely 9 to noon, if I recall from last year.
Yeah, good point, because the farmer's market is usually earlier, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
with the line forms. So, I didn't submit anything or any information, nor have I made a request to the organizers of the farmer's market, but we probably should do that.
I did give them a heads up a few weeks ago. I said, we hadn't finalized it yet, but to be prepared. Now, there's going to be a lot more going on that day at the farmer's market, just so that we're all aware, is that there's going to be a ceremony at the Memorial Park for the new installation from the Wampanoags, have a statue that has been designed, and it's beautiful. And so the Wampanoag dancers will be at the farmer's market, and then there's going to be a parade of sorts down to Memorial Park. So lots going on that day. Hopefully, lots of people will be there, so it's a great opportunity to do as much as we can. And so it's going to be a big weekend.
So to make sure that happens, are you going to do that, or you want me to contact?
I will ask for a tent, yeah.
Yep, and I don't remember if we need electricity or not for the standard.
To
None
do
of
the,
equipment's all battery powered, right?
Yeah, I don't think we,
Nothing, unless you wanted to have the video of the volunteers doing the sampling.
that was, I mean, people
They like it.
looked at it last year. We were able to do it with your iPad, I think, Ed. Remember the pictures that we shared?
At the farmer's market you're
Yeah,
hearing about?
at the farmer's market. So it was separate from the herring, but it was at the end of the season, and so we had a lot of pictures that people had sent in.
Yeah.
And you had them on a loop.
Okay,
I will remind you of what you did.
okay.
And if you think your iPad has enough juice in it, you know, assuming it's charged up, I think that would be great to have a little bit of,
I can,
Yeah, we can do that.
I
Yeah,
can lend
that's
you a
fine.
power pack if you need it.
Yeah. That'd be great.
okay. So I don't think we'll need the electricity, but we'll need to get all of our equipment to do our demonstrations.
Yeah.
So equipment-wise, we would need to have your Apple computer with the video of the herring on it
Right,
and the monitor.
right. That's in the tent, right?
Right.
Okay. Question, backing up a little bit. Did we not discuss having a table either at the last indoor farmer's market, which has just happened, or at the first outdoor one? And by the way, when I saw her, is it Greta, her name?
Gretel.
Gretel. On Saturday, she said that we're welcome to, anytime we want, to just tell her,
Oh.
and we'll have a spot
She's
there.
lovely.
But we were looking, we had talked about, I thought, having a tent, having a table, because we needed volunteers. Is that still true? So are we still looking to do that, like around now?
Well, the first one is this Saturday.
Outside, you mean?
Right.
The first outdoor one?
First
is
outdoor,
Saturday.
we missed the last indoor.
Yeah, which is okay, because it was
Um,
mean for the people.
People have the time to do that?
Give me a minute. So that's May 2nd. Oh,
I think it's still,
I can't, no.
I think it's still chilly, to be honest. But, so I'm not sure
We could
it's
do it,
necessary to do it right away, but if we could do it sometime in May for sure, before this June 20th big day, that would be great.
how about let's look at our calendars. How about May 9?
Yeah, it could help on May 9.
I could too.
Oh, actually, no, I can't. Because Wording Field School.
I'm open on the 9th.
I am too.
I'm open on the 16th. That helps. Or the 23rd,
20th, not, and I think 20th is
late.
late, especially since we're doing the,
Yeah.
right.
Well, if you got enough volunteers, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that elaborate. It's pretty much the same setup as always, right? Do we want,
Have a
we just,
clipboard to get people's names
make
and
sure that-
addresses.
which we have
One's got the truck,
already from the last one. So I don't think we actually have to produce anything,
a truck.
except we do need to make sure that that QR code is still working. Because as I recall, she bought that for 1 year, which would end around,
I think it was just.
Right, so it should be good through June 20th-ish from a time frame perspective. But obviously, it was still good for Meet the Farmer last month.
right.
Um,
I
But,
mean, you might be able to renew it. I just don't know what she bought. We can ask her, of course.
yeah,
And are we, when we talk about getting volunteers, I think we need volunteers both for pond and estuary sampling, right? And we particularly probably need volunteers for Nauset estuary sampling, more, almost as much or more than Pleasant Bay is my impression.
I think we need it for everything. And the other thing I'd want to make sure that we bring up is the Community That Cares group is planning to have a booth at the farmer's market for most of the summer, with the idea that the different groups that are involved in Community That Cares, and we're one of those groups, that we take a week. So going forward, I haven't heard that they're ready to start up yet, and that was actually something I was going to check on and see when they were going to get going with that and get that started. But so going forward during the summer, we'll have our time, you know, once a month probably, to go in and have our,
Well, and we can
Information
also,
there.
I think also the idea behind that is that we're welcome to have our materials there, whether or not we're manning that table regardless. So we can have a sign-up sheet, you know, for volunteers with an explanation about what it is, some handout or something, at that table every week. My understanding was that the people manning it were rotating, but if you wanted to have materials on it, everybody was welcome to put the materials on it. But to go back to May, should we, let's pick a day, if we're going to do it in May?
Yep.
so are we good
And if
for
you-
the 9th?
I can do either the 9th or the 16th, so,
Other people, is that good for you?
I'm away on the 16th,
On the
traveling.
16th? So the 9th would be a good time.
And we have to make sure that there's water supply if we're gonna
Yep, water and electric.
demonstrate the,
That's Mother's Day weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, that
I
might
might be at it,
yes, it is, you're right, the 10th is Mother's Day.
not a great idea.
I might be out of town.
Well, I mean, again, I'm open on the 16th.
And that's also the Orleans Cultural Group is, or one of the groups is going to be having a big thing on the green in front of the library
On the 9th.
on the 9th. Yep.
Oh, that's,
So,
would that be better for us to be at that? You're talking about where they bring in the DJ and they
I
have the
don't know
music and
whether
they have
we've
all the
missed
tables.
our opportunity to get into that.
Okay.
But we can reach out and find out. Judy, Lindell,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Does it make sense to go to the farmer's market twice? Like if you and Bob could do it on the 9th, and I could do it, if you're willing to go again on the 16th? Or is that too much?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I was wondering if we wanted to do the 9th and the 16th, like maybe Bob and Valerie could do the table on the 9th. And if Valerie's willing to do it twice, I would accompany you on the 16th.
I don't know that I can do it twice.
Well, if anybody else could do it on the 16th.
Because it's like a, yeah, I think that's, I can do one or the other.
Okay, well, maybe we just need to do it once. So do the 9th.
But you can take my equipment if you want to do it on the 16th. I just
Yeah.
put it in your car the day before. I mean, it's simple, you just plug it in.
So let's see, well,
Simple
sounds so
until you try to
simple.
open someone else's computer and find the file.
I might be available on the 16th. You can, we can just, can't we decide at the last minute sort of thing, or?
Yeah.
Well,
We'll see if
Let's
it
say this-
seems productive on the
Yeah,
9th.
see how it goes on the 9th.
Yeah.
okay, so we're doing the 9th.
Okay, so you're okay on the 9th?
I'm okay on the 9th.
Okay, and then we'd have to figure out something else for the 16th to get the table.
And maybe we should think about some sort of like, I don't know, grabbing sort of colorful graphic seeking volunteers, get out on the water. I don't know, something,
so take the volunteer sign-up sheet that we have.
yeah.
I don't know who's got the original on that. But to your point, and one of my thoughts is maybe a picture. You know, some of the great pictures that we got from last year's sampling. You know, there is some, you know,
Well, we do have a budget.
Right.
Now we have a budget, so we could like go
Get a
on
poster board
Right.
made at Staples or
with a
something.
nice big photograph and just a very, sign up and help or some direct message.
And if we do that, we should get something maybe we could reuse, because we're gonna
Yes.
keep doing this.
Right.
People are visual learners. See a picture, they're gonna
I think
check it
we
out.
almost need to do that because it really paid off with the resolution that we have on our pond map.
yeah.
Yeah, that was really good, and I want to congratulate you on thinking of that and doing
Schofield
it.
did that.
Yeah, at the farmer's market in Harwich that we did last. That was excellent visual, brought people in.
We
And get
might
the
be able to
QR
hire him
code.
to Do that.
So people can just take a picture and that'll take them to the volunteer sign up online.
Another related thing, and we've got some OPC members on this committee, is we usually every spring ask OPC to send out in their e-news, a request for pond samplers and estuary samplers. Maybe it's too late for the pond samplers, but maybe the estuary samplers. I think it's worth doing that.
We've got a August pond sampler, so always good to ask for
Keep
pond
asking,
sampler.
I think we should ask for both, but usually we write a little 2-paragraph blurb and have links to our website where people can sign
You
up.
already have that written then? You already have it written from before, right?
Well, we've also made a request to get on Town Talk. So for May, hopefully, and we'll send a reminder, I'll send a reminder to Amanda to see whether we can get, and so that's,
So Carolyn,
she's probably rewritten some of what we've written before, and so always fresh is good.
so looking at the calendar, I'm actually going to say let's do the 16th, because the 9th is less than 2 weeks away. And I think we should have some nice graphic grabbing, you know, with decent photographs made up. And I'm going to need more than 10 days if I'm doing it.
So we'd have to get some help. It took a while to get that done because of the time constraints of the artist, basically, to do that poster. Of course, we went through some permutations of it, going through editing it, but we'd have to have, some of us would have to get involved in what do we want on that, and create kind of a mock-up of it.
Can we, so I have found the kid, if you're nice, I have found the kids at Staples actually to be very helpful with layout. So I think the assets, so if you pull out some photos, we can do like a quick photo edit, pick 2, at the most 3,
And limited big text.
and, right, and then go down and hang out for an hour with somebody down there at Staples, and they,
Okay, so you're saying they could set it up for us? Okay.
I think we
For
need to put the
price.
raw, yes, right. Well, I'm trying to think back. No, when I did it last time, they didn't charge me for the graphic design at all. They charged me for what we got. But they helped me put together everything else. I mean, I knew what I wanted, so there wasn't a lot. But I was in there for about an hour, you know, where they were putting, yeah, they're very, depends on who you get.
Yeah, no, I was told not to do that, so. But I think it is, you're right. Someone else said, no, they had good luck.
Well,
Yeah.
But if we get it, to your point, set up,
We have the assets,
much.
we're all set, yeah.
and we do, we know the verbiage, we know we'll pick some pictures, and so it shouldn't be that big a
So could we say then the 16th? Let's change the date. And I will start a round robin email and volunteer to do that, of just saying, you know, looking for assets. I'll send it to all of us? Okay. And what we're looking for are photos. We want 3 tops. So, you know, but we can do a photo edit, so let's see what
Yeah, I've got a
we've got.
collection
Right.
of photos, so.
Right. And like a couple slugs for lines. As opposed to a critter.
Okay, so the other piece is,
Gretel.
the farmer's market, are you confined to only the space like between your, or behind your table? Just thinking about, do you want 3 posters and we would have to remove, for instance, the groundwater one, which is always a good one to talk
Yeah,
to
that-
people
that-
about. So you will end up with, looking over there, and where else you have to go, 3 easels.
She let us, well, she's so easygoing. I mean, so long as we're not impeding one of the vendors.
You know, I know, I just.
Yeah, I think whether we have them in the front, we can have them in the front of the table as well as in the back.
I've volunteered for energy navigators at the farmer's market, and what was effective for us, we had things on the table, but we had what do you call it, a signboard, one of those, you know, triangle things, and we had a poster we slipped in it that, you know, what are we there for? I think that's where the poster that Valerie is designing, if we could get one of those, borrow from somebody, maybe OPC has one that we could borrow, or I know OCT probably has one.
A poster or an easel, sorry.
An easel.
An
yeah,
easel, gotcha,
Yeah, it's not
okay.
an easel, it's like, one of those big triangular, heavy things that you put out, and you put that in front of your table, and that sort of leads people
that maybe
over.
That's worth
Are you talking about the triangle thing, or are you talking about the easels? Because the easels we can get.
I think the triangle boards are better because they don't blow over.
I think so too. And easier to kick over by somebody's errant foot or a dog.
I mean, the wind is always a factor at these things.
Yeah, true.
Although if it's windy, whether we have.
Yeah. I can ask Andy where the Energy Navigators, where we got that from. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's,
that'd be great, because I'm having trouble picturing it.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'll kick off with a little round robin email, and so are we agreed on the 16th? Do you want me to reach out to Gretel, or does somebody else want to reach out to
I
Gretel?
can talk to her.
Okay.
I'll take that on. Thank you.
thanks, Val.
All right,
So we move on.
good. Ready to move on?
Yep.
So, estuary sampling. Thank you, Mary.
Well, I'll kick us off and open for questions. So just this very morning, I got from Carol Ridley at the Pleasant Bay Alliance the draft, and it is a draft, so don't forward it to volunteers, email that will go out to order quality samples for the Pleasant Bay Alliance. So that's Pleasant Bay, but, we communicate more with Nauset estuary samplers. So I thought it looked really good. I didn't have comments on it. But it's very helpful because it's the first time we've gotten the date for the in-person training, which is going to be July 8th at a different location, the Chatham Community Center. It, has the links for the online training and instructions to send it to the your town volunteer coordinator, which is Carolyn and I for Orleans. And it actually, for the first time, included the sampling window for Nauset Estuary. We had that for Pleasant Bay. And it has the dates, the sampling dates, which are July 16th, August 3rd, August 17th, September 1st, and September 15th. So you should have this in your inbox. And, we will Carolyn and I will let you know if anything changes, but, I think the sampling dates are set. Hopefully the sampling windows have been determined. And so I guess my plan, I haven't had a chance to confer with my better half here, Carolyn Audi, is to wait and let the Pleasant Bay Alliance send this out to their volunteers. And then what we usually do is forward it to our listservs for estuary sampling. We have one listserv from last year for Pleasant Bay and one listserv for Nauset Estuary. And that's, a total of about 54 people. It's a lot of people. And I'll CC all of you on it and just ask them, we want to confirm that you're willing to re-up again, do it again this year. Unfortunately, we usually have a few people drop off for health reasons or, life, things going on. And then, ask them to confirm that they're willing to stay with their same sampling team, and ask them to put the sampling dates on their calendar and the training date, and ask them to get their training form, certification form, which you have to do annually every year, into the two of us. And we have to collect those and somehow get them to Carol Ridley. And one thing to note that's different this year is the season is a little later than it has been in some years. It's
Significantly later.
yeah, it's not starting till July 16th, and it runs through mid-September.
The training in July, that's late. It's right before we start, which is good.
So I think-
But it is late.
I think in prior years, it might have been my newness. I probably had already by now sent that first email to our volunteers, but I kind of been hanging back because it was,
There's been some, feedback and anxiousness about the dates and the times.
Yeah. And I think-
So it's very great to see that this morning.
Yeah, exactly. So now I think we're ready to get started as soon as this gets finalized. One thing that could happen to us is, some of our volunteers are seasonal people, and I wonder if they're still around by September 15th. So, time will tell. But, so it would be good to, as always, it's good to get some new
Yeah,
volunteers.
let's get it out and find out. and
Yeah,
See what we
yeah,
got.
see
is
what we
we're
got.
Scrambled to do.
But what have I missed, Carolyn?
Sounds good. I think the key is getting the first blast out so that people know that we're working on it.
Right.
And the dates have been set. I think getting those dates out there to everyone is really key, so that they can work around it.
Right.
Don't make their plans before, make their plans.
And usually there's always people that are on vacation or, so, we may come back to members of the committee if we need, most of you are estuary samplers, so, but if there's anybody, if we need fill-ins.
Or coordinators back at the lab to bring everything in.
Right. And then we also, as the email that's in your inbox says from Carol, the volunteer coordinators are in charge of distributing the equipment kits, and Judy has taken a huge role in that in the past. And, I think she's willing to continue, but, we need to, I have been less involved with the equipment, so, we have to just make sure we're ready for that.
Well, we've got two different groups. So the equipment, we'll be picking up the equipment from Chatham for all of the Pleasant
Pleasant
Bay
Bay,
groups.
right.
And then the Nauset and Rock Harbor, Namscayket areas are under our control. Because we just finished our freshwater sampling, or almost finished, we've got a good handle on what we've got. We finally got some equipment. We've got new DO meters. We've got a piece that we've been waiting for over a year to fix a Van Dorn. So things are really coming together from an equipment perspective.
Do you think we'll be in good shape?
And I'm feeling very good about that. There's work to be done, not to,
We'll have to assemble
we're
the
not done.
kits, right.
So,
But I think, I'm feeling like we're in a good place to pull everything together.
We got time, yeah.
Yeah, and we do have time.
so one thing we need, which I mentioned to Carolyn, is I've already made the copies of the chain of custody forms. They're all ready to go. Yellow set, light yellow set, and a white set. I don't have the individual data sheets from either PBA or WMO. And so I think we're trying to look for the originals of those. We probably should have them, and I don't know who owns them.
I think now that we've got the information from Carol Ridley, we can ask her if she's got that, and so I can follow up that, or you can follow up and see if we can get those individual data sheets.
What we'd like is, and I'll take care of it, is if I can get the Word files to go with them, if they are Word files, we can put the updated 2026 on them. And then they were printed in color, which they
Yeah,
can do over
and we
here.
print them here.
Yeah.
And Karen's been really helpful about that. And I don't think we've ever actually asked George yet. I think George might have one of the originals from last year.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
should we start with George or start with Carol?
If he has an original, if we want dates on it, it's not gonna help us. I can't remember if that actually has a date that needs to be changed. I think it does.
I don't think so, because we use it all summer long, so we write the date in.
No, I think at the top it may
I
have.
mean, the 2026, yeah, we want to make sure.
So-
And even if it's not there, I added it for freshwater, because I wanted it there.
So we need to if we can get the Word copies of that, then we can make those changes and put it somewhere where we can get it every year.
Yep.
Should we
I'll-
ask Carol?
I'll ask George,
Okay.
start with him.
Yeah, but I think Carol's probably the one that's got them.
All right. Anything else on estuaries? Nice to have progress.
Yes,
It's
this,
been,
so it
it's been a
begins.
little, it's been a little tougher this spring. All right. Freshwater sampling. So as I mentioned, we are nearly done, not 100% done. We have one pond left, which is Wash. And so We got an extension from SMAS to do that this week. It should have been the last 2 weeks, but we got an extension to do that. So we'll try and get that done. And so looking at the data that's come in, it's a little mixed, what we've seen. Crystal Lake looks really, really good.
Oh, good.
Which is so encouraging. Pilgrim Lake, not so much, which is discouraging. But it doesn't necessarily mean we'll have a bloom. I don't want to send that message at all, but what it means is that it's, and you know, it speaks to the fact that every pond is different. And the impact of an alum treatment is different on every pond. And we may see that Crystal has a bloom and Pilgrim does not. It's just how the summer goes and all of that. But interestingly, Crystal Lake, the water level is the same as it was last year, and our observation is that it's still coming up. We're not any near what we've been. I think '24 was a year that had a lot of water, a lot of rain that year. We're not that high. But other lakes and ponds, and I'm using pond and lake interchangeably, are not. They're lower.
Yeah.
So it's not every pond, not every lake is the same, in how this year's drought is impacting it.
So what was so what data do you have that says Pilgrim is in not as good a shape?
So what we have is dissolved oxygen readings from, depending on how deep the pond is. So we have it from a meter off the bottom, midway, and then half a meter from the top. So looking at those numbers, so the dissolved oxygen numbers for Crystal were consistent all the way down to the bottom.
Okay.
And the water temperature was consistent
Okay.
all the way down to the
So it
bottom.
hasn't stratified.
Whereas in Pilgrim and in several of the other lakes, the numbers were different at the bottom than they were at the top. And, you know, some lakes have more impact from the sun than others.
So it hasn't stratified completely.
Right,
or it
right.
has beginning.
We don't want it to stratify quite yet, because it's still spring.
So how does it compare to the years before?
Right, and so it's different on different ponds, but Crystal looked better from those numbers perspective. Pilgrim did not. And other things that we found were blips in the middle of the pond where it'd be a lot warmer. It'd be colder at the top, colder at the bottom, and then a spot in the middle where it was warmer.
We were seeing that, like in Baker Pond, and I was wondering about that.
Very
But-
deep.
But the dissolved oxygen, I'm not a scientist, so take this with a big grain of salt, but it seemed like the dissolved oxygen levels were a little better than we saw last year in Baker. I wonder if it was the colder temperatures or?
It was interesting, and I can't pull it up, but dissolved oxygen numbers were one thing, but temperatures were the other. So dissolved oxygen might have been the one that looked a little better, but the temperatures were a little more concerning.
Right.
So,
And the water levels, my sense was lower, because it just wasn't as deep as it has been some years.
and it'll be interesting to see, knowing that we're still in the drought, so that means that there's not enough water in our aquifer. You know, like right now, we were having rain a little bit every day, but now we're in a little bit of a dry spell. You know, how fast some of these lakes go down as they start to, you know, drain into the, because remember, the water's coming in from the rain and from runoff, but from the bottom, you know, it's going into the aquifer, so. So again, I'm not a scientist either, my speculation is informed speculation.
More fun to follow.
All right.
When is the next dates for the August sampling,
Oh, sorry?
or pond sampling? When are the next dates?
Oh, August. We haven't set the dates, but it's usually the middle 2 weeks in August. And that's the official PALS, pond and lake sampling.
Sooner we can put those on the calendar, the better.
Because everybody has plans.
Yeah.
Good point, thank you. All right. We are at 10 of 12, so I'm going to recommend that we move our discussion about the charter till next meeting, if everyone's good with that. All right. Chairs meeting, so very quickly, we had a meeting on the 8th. As you would expect, a lot of the discussion was about the town meeting and the warrant articles. And if you haven't looked at the articles yet, there's several, I think at least 3 meetings that the town is having so that people can come and learn more about the warrant articles. Some are here, some are in different places in the library. I think there might be one. So there's different places where they're going out to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask any questions they have. So I encourage everyone to do that. Town meeting is May 11th. That's a Monday. I believe it starts, I want to say 6 o'clock.
I think so.
And last year, they started late because there were so many people piling in and just at the last minute. They're not, what I'm hearing is that they're not going to do that this year. So everyone should plan to get there early, so you can get in. And vote on the first item, which is a consent agreement for the first 12 or 17 or so warrant articles, so all important. So that was discussed. We talked about the drought that we've already discussed tonight. There were a number of shout-outs for different programs and meetings that were happening that have already happened, so I'm not going to waste your time going over them. I did speak to Herring, and there was a nice conversation about, Herring and getting volunteers in to do that. And we've seen some nice little, not a whole lot of new people, but some new people this year, which is great. The other thing that was discussed is it's time for committee reappointments. We know that we have 2 on this committee. Rich has done his time,
Yep.
so we're going to be losing Rich.
Served your time.
Better verb.
And Bob is already, is up as well and confirmed that he's planning on coming back for another term, so. So, again, we've had 2 vacancies for associate positions all year. We want to, talk to your friends, talk to your samplers, people who you are interacting with about whether they're doing herring counting or whether they're doing freshwater sampling, whether they're doing estuary sampling. Come on down.
We have one, so I just want to clarify for myself, we have one opening on the board itself, correct?
We have 2 openings right now. These are straight openings. They are associate positions, but they're on the board, on the committee. And then there will be 1 regular opening, and then there'll be still 2 associate openings. So there'll be 3 positions open.
So I know that one of our alumni would like to be on the regular. Yeah.
So, and I've spoken with her, and so I told her to take her time. And if, and we'll see how it
it goes.
goes, but I don't want that to hinder anyone else from considering joining, so.
Well, we have 3 spaces, so I think there's room for new people, and we should encourage that.
Yes, and encourage,
There's
and
a
we
reason
encourage
why you're
that.
not mentioning the person? What are you talking about?
Judy?
Oh, Judy, okay.
You know, maybe we should, I don't know, think about that for the table. When are these appointments made?
What these, they would start for the June meeting.
So maybe we should add that to the table, the mix for the, table at the farmer's market.
Great idea.
Why not?
Yep.
I mean, when the person gets added, they may not get added right away, because usually it takes them, they gotta reapply, right, or apply. And they don't put the people, they have that list, and they put them on. So I think in the last time when we had a new person who came in, they actually didn't even start until September.
Yeah.
It all depends on the timing of the select board, how many they've got on their list. And so it is something that could take a little while.
Here's a question. So theoretically, we have 3 openings.
Not theoretically.
Right, okay, we have 3 openings.
When Rich departs.
And suppose that there are at least 3 people who apply, so
Right.
we have 3 bodies ready to fill these 3 openings.
Correct.
But who decides who the regular is going to be compared to the 2 alternates?
I can
I
answer
make
that.
that recommendation to the select board.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's the select board who determines.
But select board
We
has
all
to-
serve at the pleasure of the select board,
Yes.
Right.
so it's up to them to,
They could overrule me, but
Okay.
they will ask my opinion.
But I was an associate member for a year or more. I think it's actually helpful when you're new to a committee to kind of see how it rolls before you jump in and start voting, so.
I think you're right. I think what people don't understand is there is a learning curve in this committee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To learn everything that we're doing, to understand the science behind it. Even if you're a scientist, you still have, most people aren't walking through the door understanding about water quality. And so there is a learning curve, and the associate level is a really great way.
I agree. I mean, I wasn't an associate, but it would have been useful to have that first year as an
Yeah.
associate.
No, I started as an
Yeah.
associate, and I found it to be very, very helpful.
And look where you are now.
It's a little scary. All right.
Okay.
So that's what happened at the chairs meeting. Any announcements?
I have
There was a
one.
were you going to comment on availability of town staff to committee
Yes.
members?
Yep. So I was going to let other people, but I will talk to that. As some people may be aware, in a select board meeting, there was some pushback on some information that actually Michael Herman was sharing about our committee. And the pushback was that committee members should be going through, and so I'm clarifying, I got clarification at the chairs meeting, but all requests for new projects, new asks, should be directed by the chair to our town liaison, George. So committee members shouldn't be going off and speaking to other town committees without first making sure that George is aware that, and asking his opinion. I mean, he's a fabulous resource.
Right.
And so we need to go through George, but it also it needs to be coming from me or the chair, whoever the chair is at the time.
So I guess what you're saying is unless you have a liaison that's official, no one from this committee, except for the chair, should be going to another committee? And,
No, it's not the committee, it's asking resources of the town.
okay, I think that's what you just said, though. I misunderstood what you said.
I'm sorry, so if I said committee, I meant department. If you want to, thank you. If we have an ask of the town and we want to use town resources for any purpose,
Like a copier?
no.
No. Okay, good.
No,
would it be-
when I make copies, I go
Checking.
to George's office and I speak to Karen and say, and frequently she's offered to do it, and I said, I can run a copier. So I don't want to take her time away from the work that she's got in front of her.
But I mean, this process is for something more significant than like getting copies.
Yes.
Okay.
Would it be helpful?
And for, I've said Rich, Rich is speaking to George. I mean, if Rich has already had a conversation going with George about certain activities that are going on, I'm not going to, force him aside and say, no, I'm going to do it now.
Well, that's been the policy in the past with the other chairs, so, but I think it's, the question that came up is,
Yeah, what are we
don't wanna
talking
be
about?
Don't want to, I think there is a concern that you could have multiple members of a committee going in and using staff resources or occupying staff resource time. And that needs to, they're saying, no, you can't do that. And I think that was already kind of a policy that we had to begin with. We knew not to overburden George with
Right.
conversations that,
Right.
are new especially.
Right.
Unless we had had a full discussion here, and that's where if he comes, he's supposed to hear about it. But I think the broader question, at least from what I thought you said, was that it's becoming more restrictive. I thought you said we had to go through the town manager office.
That was how it was originally presented, but the clarification I got from the chairs meeting was, first of all, it's not every single little thing. Second of all, it is to go through our town liaison versus the town manager's office.
Was this something specific to something of our committee or just all town?
All committees.
Okay, that's for
Yeah.
It was just, we were the lucky ones and Michael was making a comment that one of our committee members was going to speak to, and I think it was you, to Amanda about getting some information. And it wasn't clear that all it was an ask for information that already existed.
Really?
And so,
Yeah, and she,
it came across as a little bit of a bigger deal
yeah.
than what it really was. And so
Dear.
what we were saying is,
Did my name come up in this conversation? Oh, good.
But they put your face up and up.
And, and just to close the loop on that, I think it came up when we were talking with Michael Herman, our liaison, at our last meeting about, is there any existing information about the food,
and he said that,
Composting.
he said that it existed.
Yeah.
And suggested.
and I asked Amanda that. I did send her an email, and she emailed right back and said it doesn't exist, but when it does, I'll be in touch. So that was all it was.
And subsequently, we learned that it didn't exist, and so it is what it is, all
Okay,
good.
but anyway, we should be
I wanted to
asking
get
George
back to-
Missouri these things.
So my concern in all of this is, I think we've operated effectively when we've had individuals who have gotten assignments to do within the committees. I think it's not a good idea to have to always go through the chair to do that. In other words, if you've got a responsibility you've been given on a subject and the committee knows about it, I'm concerned if we have to now, we've got another step, and we have to have another person go back in the chair. We certainly haven't been doing that in the past. If someone was assigned a responsibility, then they had that responsibility and they were authorized to do it, and then they could speak to George. And it also gets into, I guess, we have a challenge right now, I think, with the website. It's gotten much more restrictive in terms of the resources that we can use to do that, and we're trying to funnel everything to George. But in reality, there may be a case where the person that you choose from the committee has more knowledge, operational ability to deal with the situation and go to George. So I think as long as the committee agrees to that, I feel that that's adequate to allow that person to go and talk on that subject. So I don't know if we're gonna have a conversation. I'm not part of the chair committee anymore, but I certainly would have brought that up at that chair's meeting, because I don't think I don't know, I guess maybe it gets too confusing
I
on their
think, I
part.
think we're also a unique committee.
Right.
For lack of a better word, we're a bit high maintenance. We really want to work with town hall and work with the different departments about different things. And so, I think we can, as each individual project comes up, we can make decisions about that. I think it would be good if I at least give George a heads up, this is something that we're looking about, and you're gonna be hearing more from Rich, you're gonna be hearing more
So
from,
normally that would have happened in here.
so that,
So this would be a good thing to talk about when we do the committee
It is,
charge, because
because,
it's all listed here and we
This
can
never came up
discuss.
before.
Yeah, but this will be a good
So I
time to
think
do
we
it.
were-
Yeah.
Whatever we were doing,
Yeah.
we were doing it in such a manner that and it was pretty clear that George would say no and be the person to
Yeah.
say no, and he did.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew if you came in,
But it's afternoon, and I don't know if we have to get out of
Yeah,
here, or are
yeah.
we okay?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's another
Good
meeting, but we
topic.
do.
I think stepping back, the big picture is the town has a lot of committees, 40 or
do.
50.
Yes.
And I think they're trying to manage staff
Yeah,
time and how they
reasonable.
deal with those. So we need to be responsive to that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true.
Okay, well, I have one announcement,
Oh,
which may institute one of these chains of command. But we had talked last fall about finding out a better way to communicate with town citizens, because our page on the town website didn't seem to be that useful, and we began to wonder. So I volunteered to put together a survey to find out from registered voters in town how they learn about water quality issues. And so often they are exceedingly
I would argue town residents.
residents. Okay, that's one change I will add. They seem somewhat amazingly uninformed when they go to vote. So I figured the place to encounter town residents, and not just visitors or summer residents who can't vote, would be to do a survey at the transfer station, because pretty much everybody goes through there and occasionally stops and schmoozes with people, and I know candidates for office are often seen there, so I figured maybe the thing to do is to very nicely ask people as they come to drop off all their contributions to the transfer station, if they would just quickly answer some very simple questions for us to take this informal survey on where they learn about water quality issues.
You could put it on the table too, Carol.
Well, I certainly will. I will give you copies. And it's totally anonymous. I deliberately would like to keep this survey very short, because I don't want to make people feel like, oh, I don't want to take a survey. I've got to hurry and go to the library before it closes. So I have limited the questions, and they would be asked orally, so I'm just standing there with a clipboard,
Oh.
checking off their responses.
You don't want to just have them fill it out?
No, because then
It won't come
they
back.
have to get the papers, or they're not gonna come back. If I can just get them quick, done.
Yeah,
They don't even have to, they don't even have to put down what they're carrying, because I've got the pen and the paper.
But maybe for the table, we just leave this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Or, and give it to you,
we could just leave it
or
out.
who's ever manning the table.
Right.
So what I am looking for is feedback that makes sure the questions are clear, even though they're not wordy. And is there any other question or two that I've missed that I could sneak in there? I really wanted to limit it to about 5. Just broad brush and get their answers. I realized today I thought of one thing to put on the last question about where people get their information, and that's one at tables at community events. So I will,
I'm going to apologize because I need to make a presentation at 12:30 in Eastham. and
Okay.
I
Okay.
can't be late because I'm doing it.
Okay, thanks, Val.
Can I email you my comments, Carol?
please.
Okay.
So that's that was my next thing to say, and my last thing to say is, if you do have comments, look it over, think about it, but I would like to start stomping around at the transfer station in May. Probably for about a half an hour a day, just because I'm not gonna devote all my time, and there will be days when I'm not there and days when I am, and so it's totally unscientific. But I figure that's the place to meet more guaranteed Orleans residents than any place else, pretty much.
So this is a good opportunity to ask the question, who's going to bring this to George and let George know we're doing this?
Exactly.
Who's going to help us with,
I asked at the dump, and what they said, oh, you need to go talk to, whose name I forgot, at the DPW building,
right?
which I assume is the guy, whoever is in charge of the transfer station.
And it seems like there's a lot of people that might have to be involved. Does Amanda need to know about this? And does, I don't know, Carolyn might have a better.
It sounds like it makes sense to start
Not
with George.
necessarily, but I think it can be as simple as saying, is sending a note to George and Rich Waldo, who's the DPW,
That's the guy.
and just say, this is what we're planning on doing.
Well, that's what
And then you can go in person and go ahead and do it, so that I'm not holding things
so that
up.
I should send a note to both people.
I was gonna send it under mine.
Oh, please do.
And that,
Please do.
and copy you so that you know the response, and then you can go forward and
And do that.
do that, yep.
Do we have our questions that we want to ask people?
You got a copy.
Okay.
I think I gave you a copy. Here it is.
Oh, sorry.
And I think everybody else already has one.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
Valerie had one.
So, and this is a work in progress, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to slow this up. It's a justifiable concern, but I do want to, make an effort and follow the rules. And then as things get slowed up, we need to work it through and say, hey, this isn't working for us.
Yeah. And I'm not planning, hopefully, to do it in May and June, but not do it in July and August, because I know parking spaces at the transfer station are.
I've already had to wait a few
You
times.
have to wait online, and people are in more of a hurry to get in and out. So, and then depending on what kind of if the feedback already is showing specific trends, that's enough. But if the responses aren't clear enough, I can pick it up again in September and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the transfer station because a lot of people don't go there. I mean, they have the trucks that come around and take their garbage, so you're not getting everyone.
Oh, no, I don't
Yeah.
expect to. It's not a scientific survey.
But I do like your survey being as simple as it is. I think
Sure.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
I mean, we've got to get a slice from somewhere.
Post office is another place to get town people. You know, again, a lot of people have post office boxes.
That's true.
But, I mean, a lot of people have boxes, other people have it on their street, but it's another place to get people. And
Yeah.
and you're gonna find you're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, which is even better, really.
Which it
Yeah.
helps expand.
Yeah, because at the farmer's market that we were at, I don't know, last year it was, when we first set up at the farmer's market, our first one, people were coming by and I would ask them, have you heard about the Marine and Freshwater Quality Committee? And practically nobody knew what we're doing. So this kind of thing, not only do you get answers, but you're alerting them to our existence.
Yes.
I think that's as
And
equally
A
important.
lot of people at the farmer's market are just people who wouldn't hear about it because they're only here for short periods of time.
They're also
Well-
East Hammond, Brewster, and other towns.
And a lot of
A lot
people
of
from
town
other
people go
towns
there,
who
yeah.
don't have farmers.
That's true too, but,
So,
Thank you for doing that.
yeah,
thank you.
Well, don't thank me until we get results.
yeah, right.
Can you send us the Word file so we can make some edits and send you some recommendations?
Oh, sure.
Otherwise,
Can I make a unrelated public comment?
Yep.
It is just a quickie. I just noticed this is Snow Library's Friends of Snow Library Lifetime Learning Program has two programs which are on April 30th and May 7th, 10:30 to noon. It's Zoom only, so it means unlimited registration. I'm sure you could still register at the Friends of Snow Library website or, Snow Library. It's called Freshwater, a Vital Resource. I don't know the speaker. His name is Stu Goodwin. It says he had a career in international investments, and he teaches for the Academy of Lifetime Learning. But anyway, he's talking about rainfall patterns and water recycling, and I just throw it out there. I signed up to attend to see if I'd learn something. I'm not involved.
I'm doing, on the same day, APCC has a different but similar program going on that I had signed up for, so.
Is it
yeah.
the same guy just here for the day and
Went around.
I don't believe so, but I'm gonna go look it up now.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. And final announcement is, town meeting I already mentioned is May 11th, and vote on May 19th.
One quick announcement, the annual Kents Point cleanup, sponsored by Friends of Lonnie's Pond, is next Thursday, May 7th, starting at 8 a.m. If anyone's interested, and if anyone needs contact information,
Just a comment from a timing perspective, OPC just cleaned up Kents Point.
they did.
Yeah, as part of the Earth Day this past Saturday.
I'll be interested in seeing it.
So
It needs a lot of
I'm
work.
hoping that you don't need much.
Yeah, well,
It'll be quick to the party, right?
yeah, and it's usually under John Janelle's direction, so, and they have specific things they want to
And
deal with.
that may be a more extensive cleanup, like cleaning up, wood that's, come down versus trash.
Yeah, and he brings in town staff, usually with a wood chipper, to get rid of a lot of the
nice.
debris. So it's a pretty
More robust.
pretty big effort.
Yeah.
Good.
Make the
All right.
path clear. for
What else, what have we missed?
And
Public comment, I'm not seeing anybody online. We don't have anyone in the room.
No hands raised?
Nobody
Thank you.
knows where I exist.
Motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
second.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.